So, welcome to this next tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to just get a little bit more of a tidy up. We're also going to play about with the colours, experimenting with different sort of moods and atmospheres, and we're also going to tile the tree. So we have a complete one and a tile set. So, first things first, we're just going to tidy up this join here, okay, this joint there. So just going to grab the pencil tool, sorry. I'm going to join in, and we're just going to reduce the actual we're going to reduce the thickness of this. So push Alt as you get the colour picker if you've followed this tree exactly, which is obviously perfectly fine, and we're literally just going to keep pushing it back so these shadows don't completely follow. Okay, actually I kind of like that as a 2 or maybe a 3. It's fine. Okay, cool, there we go. That just gives it a little bit of a break. Cool. So what we're going to do first is change the colour. So what we're going to do is I want you to create a new layer, and I want you to go edit, and we're going to fill this in 50% grey. Okay, now we don't want the full area filled, so we're going to go Control Z to undo, push Control on this image in the layers panel, and that'll select your tree, and then go edit. Make sure you got this new layer created and selected, and edit, fill, and 50% grey. Now once you have this, we're going to go to the blending options, and we're literally, I'm just going to run through these different ones, and you'll see we've got like a desaturated, we've reduced the colour, which is kind of cool if you're going for that sort of limbo style environment, which is monochromatic. We've got really intense, really dark shadows, difference, which is the one that I used previously, some pin light. You know, all of these different ones have subtle, sometimes dramatic effects, but you can, as long as you flick through, you get a really good idea. If you want like a sort of moody atmosphere, you can go to multiply, which will add it some shadow. But we're going to go to this difference. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, somewhat. Now it's almost basically inverted where the shadows and the light falls. Okay, which is good in some areas because it makes for an interesting image, but not in others. So what we're going to do is we're going to just tidy this up a little bit. So we're going to push Control D. Now what we're going to do is duplicate our original tree layer, and our original one we're going to lock, we're going to hide, so we've always got that tree. Now we have our copy to play with, and we have this difference layer, so we're going to put this as difference effect, and we're going to go to this tree and just go tree difference, and we know that that's our different one we're using now. So what we're going to do is we want, in essence, these shadows to be underneath here for it to make sense, and it to swap with these. Okay, so what we're going to do is select this blue, we're going to create a new layer above the difference effect. Okay, and we're going to go in, and we're going to paint this sort of dark shadow exactly where we see anything light. Okay, so it's a little bit time consuming, but again it will be worth it for us in the end. And anywhere you see anything light, okay, just paint that on, and we're going to do the same for, we're going to swap it around in a second with another layer and paint where there is anything light. Okay, so we've got that covered, so we're going to hide that layer. We'll come back to naming them shortly. Now we're going to select the light, and anywhere there's anything remotely dark, we're going to paint those in this light blue. Okay, I'll say bluey grey. Once we've done that, we'll bring this down, bring these in, and yeah, we've got that covered. So we're going to hide that again, and now we're going to bring both of them on. Now hopefully what that means is, yeah, there we go, now it's swapped round. Okay, and it makes sense for it to be in the shadow. Now the same thing is going to happen with the tree. Now I kind of, obviously it's a change where the light is and where the dark is. Now I kind of like that effect going around the leaves on here, because actually it gives a really sort of quirky look and makes it more like a solid object. But we're going to have our tree shaded on one side. So if we look here on mine, we've got this side shaded. Okay, so what we need to do is actually create these much darker. Okay, and so we're going to zoom in once we've selected on the actual Photoshop and we're going to use our colour picker and pick one of these really dark purples from the edge, and we're going to create a new layer. We're going to rename these ones actually, just go tree, diff for difference, shadow, and I think that was the dark one, wasn't it? Shadow, dark. Yes, we'll do shadow. And then, is that right? Yeah. And then this one is tree, diff, and that's the light. And we'll come back to renaming this one in a sec. And we're just going to literally go around and paint around all of these parts that are now light. Okay. We don't want to cross over where this line is, so we need to keep our eye on that. So by doing this, we should be able to cover all of that up. Okay, and we can run round and just quickly paint this in. Now we might find that this is actually too dark, but we don't want to hide all of these light parts, but we do want to run around all of the leaves. Okay, actually show where they are, just to ensure it's covered, and we're going to run around these light bits as well, for reasons I'll explain shortly. Okay, just to make sure they stand out. So, if we zoom out, yeah, we've got this kind of quirky looking tree. I'm still a bit undecided on the green, because I did try to avoid it originally. I mean, one way of doing that would be to select all the objects on this slab while pushing Control on the image, pushing Select Inverse, so we're selecting outside of those, and going back to this difference, pushing E for the eraser, and actually, you know, deleting where these bits of green are. But obviously, as you've just seen, what this means is we end up with it even lighter underneath, and we don't want that. Okay, so Control D. I'm not Photoshop, it's so annoying. So Control D, and we'll zoom out. So what we're going to do is add our 50% shadow over the top of this now. Okay, so we're going to pick this, and we're going to go to no, we're not. We're going to select this tree. Sorry. Yep, select the tree, and we need to deselect one half. So if you push Alt next to the spacebar on the left hand side, you will be able to draw that on, and it's deselected it. There we go. Now we're going to create a new layer above this. We're going to go to Edit again, with the selection still selected, and we're going to fill that in 50% grey. Okay, obviously we left these parts in as well, so we're just going to do Control Z, and we definitely don't want to select all of that. If we go to Style and Normal in the selection, and then we're just going to push Shift above Control on the left hand side, and we're going to just drag all of that in, so now it's included within that selection. And what we're going to do is go to, it's going to create these here. Okay, one second. If we hold Control, Shift, and then push the image on layer 7, it will add those parts in, which is what we wanted. Now all we have to do is just get rid of the tree. So, in fact, no, why am I saying that? We definitely want the tree trunk in there because it's going to cover the whole thing. So we're going to go edit, so ignore me there, fill, and we're going to go 50% grey. There we go, perfect. And now we're going to change this to multiply. And obviously it's really dark, so we're just going to take it down to about 30%, I think, of around there. Let's just see what it's up and around. Yeah, or maybe a little bit more to 40 or 35, and we end up with this half shadow. Okay, now obviously I'm still not happy with the green showing. I did have it on this one here, but there's only small amounts. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to paint over these, and we're going to do that with okay, let's go back onto Photoshop again because it will not let me do that. Flip between the two and be happy. What we're going to do is paint it in a purpley colour, and this time I think we're going to go for we'll try it light first, and then if that doesn't work we'll change it to like a blue maybe, or darker purple. So we want this to sit underneath here, so we have to remember that whatever colour we paint in, it is going to go 35% darker. So let's start with this, and let's take that, so somewhere around here I think would be quite nice maybe. So we'll go with this one and we'll see how it looks. So let's push B for brush, and we only want to paint it, we're going to, in fact no, we're going to paint it on both halves. I think I'm already sort of noticing that that is quite light, but we'll see how it looks in the overall finished tree. It may even be that we put a white in there, which I think might be more appropriate, but again, because we've got a new layer, we can just select the whole thing and fill it with white. So again, which you just go through and get them all, and then we're going to offset the trees and have a nice looking uniformed tileable forest set to go with our ocean and our flooring, pebble floors, outdoor pebble floor that is. And there is a very specific reason why I put those around there, which I'm going to show you shortly. And we still need to add some shadow, overall shadow onto this. Okay, and actually, you know what, I mean, other than the tip, that's actually looking pretty cool. That's looking pretty cool now. I'm really liking that. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so again, just going to go up to here. Yeah, there we go, wicked. I'm liking it. Okay, so we're just going to go through, rename these. So this is leaf diff outline, and this one is leaf diff purple, and we're just going to call this shadow, half shadow. Oh, what's going on there? Don't get too happy pushing keys if you can't see too well. So half shadow, so we know that's only on the one half. Okay, so what we need to do now is we're going to put all these into a folder. So just create a folder, pushing this one at the bottom here. We're going to drag these in once we've selected them, and we're just going to call this difference true. Okay, now what we need to do is actually add some shadow in, because at the bottom of the file it's going to be very dark. If you look at here, I've added some there. If it wasn't there, the tree would just sort of sit really sort of off that surface, and so we're going to add some shadow in. Now the reason I also added some, what do we call it, these rings around the line, is without them these bits of the leaves just literally blended in with the floor far too much, and so it wouldn't work. So this time we're going to do exactly the same thing. So select your brush. We don't want the pencil tool this time, we want the brush tool. We're going to make it a little bit bigger so we get a sort of softer finish. We're going to we're going to make the colour black, and we're going to turn the opacity down to about 30. Okay, yeah, there we go. And what we're going to do is we are literally going to paint underneath this tree. Okay, now we are going to sort of just kiss the edges of these with it. We don't want it to be too dark on this side because that's where the light's coming from, although we can have a little bit of a shadow coming there. But this side we want the main sort of bulk of the shadow showing. Okay, and again we can just go over this. This will aid our tree when it's on top of those tiles. Okay, it will make them stand out. So there we go, we have our tree done. Now what we need to do is create a tile set. We're just going to call this ground shadow, and now we just need to make the tile. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to normal style. We're going to select the whole image. We're going to push Control Shift and C. We're going to create a new folder, and we're just going to push Control Shift V 4 times. As you can see, that's getting really dark in there, and we're just going to hide our layers underneath, which are all done. And what we're going to do is move these around. So if we actually line this up with our 50%, there we go, and we can move this one right where that split was inside the tree. And then again, this one's going to be a little bit tougher because we don't know where the sort of halfway line is. But if we hide the one at the top, and if we get our select tool and we just go fix size, and we do width 64 and the height 32, and we can see we've still just got a little bit more to go, so we want to take it up to where this ends there. Look, so push Control D, that will deselect that selection, and then if we push these up, and we want that to go there, and then if we turn this tree on, that means, and kiss it there, that means now that these two will match up and the other two sides will match up, and we have all of our shadow and everything else etc there. So what we're going to do, Control D, we just want to go normal, select all, so we want to just test it out, Control Shift and C, and then push Control V a couple of times. We do our line up, yeah, look at that. So Control V a couple of times, and we'll just make sure, yep, it matches up there, it matches up there, it matches up there, and again it matches up there. Excellent. Okay, remember we're going to bring our normal tree in, and basically all you'd need to do is copy it at 32 pixels to do, and 64 down to do either half of your original tree. I'll sort of demonstrate that in a sec. So if we just quickly turn our other parts back on, Control Shift and C, and push Control V. So just check it on this, yep, it stands out, all those parts do. We could probably have done with a little extra bit around the trunk as well, just to bring that off the ground actually. So you may want to go through and do that. I think I most probably will. I did do it on this one down here, as we can see. But again, so what I meant by that was, once you've got your tile set out, you can tell GameMaker to move X amount of pixels across, and if you have a fixed size selector, which the editor does allow you to do because I've used it, and tell it to pick to be this size, you can tell it to move all the way across and only select the image at whichever half you need, and then it will be able to be pasted next to this and actually create it so it looks okay. Okay, so now we have I have two different types of tree that are tiled, and hopefully you should have one as well. Now the good thing about saving the original ones we were working with, just want to delete this one here, is that we can also have that tree in there as well. Okay, so now I've actually got more than that. So we can go Control Shift and C, and we can have if we're having two different levels where the forest, we know one forest is say nicer than the other, we now have a nice tree, we have a horrible tree, we have a nice tree. I'm just going to move these over here. And obviously we can line these up so they equal the 64, which means it'll be easier for you to calculate where your where Game Maker needs to work out where the tree is. And we can have these in, and actually we can make tiles for this tree as well using exactly the same process. So that's how we make trees. I will see you in the next tutorial. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet, but just keep your eyes out and I'll see you soon.